Hey, guess what?
We're
Hey,
what?
hey,
What?
guess
What?
what? We're back. We're back. And today we're going to talk a little concrete. It's a hard subject to talk about, but
Oh, I
we're
see
gonna,
what you did there.
before we do that and get started on the topic, make sure you dingle on the bell and hit that subscribe button. And of course, if you got any questions, leave us a note down below. We're always willing to answer those questions. So, we're going to talk not just regular concrete. We're going to talk about at least what we call here in the Chicago area, Spancrete, which you guys down there call it
Uh, so
hollow
I always
core.
call it hollow core,
Yeah.
but it's just, yeah, guys just, and then some of them call it concrete plank.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard that one either. I've just
Yeah,
always heard
concrete
it.
plank, I think, is the term that when I moved down here, they were calling it. And I'm like, is this the hollow core? And I go, well, don't got nothing in the middle. That's hollow core.
He's showing up.
Ay, ay, ay. I
Excellent.
love that's the crazy thing about the different places. Okay.
Yep. And here you go. Looks like something like that, right?
Yeah, look at that. Hollow cores.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward, right?
I think
So
so.
hollow core planks, precast. The nice thing about these, they're pre-stressed.
Right.
So in that picture, if you look carefully, just below each of the circles, you'll see the little black dot, and that's a steel cable.
It runs
So
through
what
it.
they do is they cast those and they pull a steel cable through there, or they have a steel cable in it that is pulled. They let the concrete cure, and then they cut those cables. And it does is it then pulls that concrete this way. It compresses. So when
Correct.
they say pre-stressed, it's, I don't know, kind of misleading, but that's what gives it that extra strength. So the hollow core, obviously, it's going to reduce its weight. It's a lot lighter than a whole big thing of concrete.
Right.
It's pre-stressed for load capacity. And you use that a lot. You'll see it residential, commercial. You'll see it like on steroids for road projects, right?
Right.
Typical span, and that's what I wanted to do is talk about different spans because if you're doing a garage, say you wanted a pit in your garage, right? Change your own oil,
Right.
whatever, work on your engine. You can use Spancrete, and this is usually good for 20 to 40 feet, so not too bad. Load capacity 60 to 120 pounds per square foot, and that's live load.
Right.
Dead load's a different animal, but that's your live load. That's like movement on it. And
Mm-hmm.
then the thicknesses range from like 6 to 12 inches. And then Spancrete, which, like you said, you call it Spancrete. Spancrete is basically a brand name.
Uh-huh.
So if you go to the second picture there, that's actually Spancrete. So it doesn't look any difference, really, does it?
No.
So, but that is Spancrete. And again, in that one, you can see the black dots where the pre-stressing for the cable is.
Yep.
It's lightweight. So it's essentially the same as the standard hollow core. Um, they have a proprietary production process, which also changes their product a little bit. Um, and it spans up to 40 feet. It's still customizable based on design. So pretty much same product, just made a little differently.
Right. Yeah. And when they stack these up side by side, then after they're done, then they grout between them so that makes it solid. And then you can do whatever you're going to do and then pour over top of them for your next layer. And
If
then,
you're going to pour over the top, you don't have to. I've seen plenty of roofs and all kinds of things where they're done, where that's the floor, you're done.
right.
Kind of scary because if you go to work on that house, you can't really do much.
Yep.
Can't move the toilet over.
No, no, it is where it is. You're done.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's one of the limitations to all these products is that, you can't just move things because you changed your mind.
Yep.
You definitely have to get structural engineers involved and no fun.
No, not at all. So that's the Spancrete brand.
Yep.
Span and loads are the same, whether you call it hollow core or you call it Spancrete. Those
Yep.
are those are both going to be about the same. And that's pretty cool to watch them. That's what all these cables are here. They hook the cranes onto it and they lift the panel up and swing it into place and set it
Yeah,
down.
depending on the length, you can put a spreader on there and you just have your, like say, you just got them hooked up and just swing them around. So What you got there are the solid slabs, and those can be precast or cast in place. These are obviously precast. Definitely heavier than hollow core
Uh-huh.
because they're solid.
Yeah.
They're often used in shorter spans and more robust applications, like heavy machinery,
Okay.
or if you're going to put, you know, well, stamping machines, printing presses, things like that, that just going to have a lot more beat to them. And these only span like up to 20 feet, depending on the thickness. So they're
Okay.
not made for great spans.
But you're also going to have to watch your structure with the additional weight of these.
Oh, absolutely.
You couldn't substitute one of these for your Spancrete layout. Where the Spancrete's going to sit on the wall, that overlapping distance might need to change a little bit. Where the lighter stuff you might get away with 4 inches, and then the heavier stuff you might need 6 to 8 inch wall and content.
Right.
So
You're right. The wall thickness is going to get thicker based on that load.
Right. Right.
So,
That's where I was going with that. And then the next one?
So this is going to be kind of like your solid concrete, but this is cast in place. It's still going to be a solid slab. But I wanted to, again, go back to this photograph because this is the way we would build here in Florida to do a floor, even if this was a second floor.
Oh, really?
So this is cast on grade, right?
Correct.
But if I was doing a second floor, we would have plywood all on the bottom. We'd still do all our rebar, everything like this. And we'd have all that bracing underneath it to pour a slab. And when I poured them up to 8 inches thick with rebar, number 5s or 6s, 12 inches on center, both directions.
Yeah.
And then on the second floor, you actually have to have negative reinforcement. So next one would be the double T's.
There you go.
And this probably looks more like you'd see in a road project, right? You see the bridges being built with single T's where they have the long truss spans from pier to pier.
Right.
These are not unusual, and a double T is typically made just like that with 2 T's side by side and then your floor slab on top.
Right.
These are great because they can actually take a decent span because you've got that extra concrete. The lower portion of that T creates like an I-beam.
Right.
So now it's only supporting the floor deck and whatever the load of that is. So you'll see this a lot in parking garages.
Yeah, and you can see it's pre-stressed. Looks like it's pre-stressed also with the
pre-stressed also. So you can have longer spans, heavier loads. It's strong in bending, good and wide areas with a very few columns. So you can span 30 to 80 feet with this,
Wow.
Depending on the height of that beam.
Yeah.
And then live load, you're 100 to 250 pounds per square foot. So it's pretty substantial. I mean, your car's not that, you know what I mean? So
correct. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then
the final one really is your composite floor system. So this is sort of like the hollow core Spancrete with the deck poured over the top. And this, going back what you were saying, I think this is how most apartment buildings are built. You can slap these up. You can, it's much stronger. It's sound deadening, much faster to do. And then you're just pouring 2 or 3 inches of lightweight concrete over it.
Right. And it looks like they're filling about 3 to 4 inches there. If you look at
which is actually rather thick for most places. I think a lot of places would do 1.5 inches of gypcrete,
really?
Self-leveling and so on. Well, yeah, because all your structure, all your strength is in the lower section.
Okay.
So, but the topping that just, that adds fire resistance, sound insulation, gives you a little more structural capacity, but also increases its stiffness and load bearing. So not too shabby.
I would think some of that concrete's going to go down these hollow cores too, and it's going to backfill some of those and kind of really help like key it all in and tie it together and bond it. Yeah. There you go. How about a little Spancrete, or you call it hollow core, or what was the other one you came up with?
Concrete plank.
Concrete planks. With that, we'll say keep it square and level.
Till next time.
Until next time. There you go. Play the music there, Rich.